After the amazing response of episode 1, we thought long and hard about how the viewer could get to know Greg on a more personal level. So, two friends sitting in front of the fire chatting, completely unedited.
What he does, he blows my mind up.
Coffee with the King. So, we've refilled our coffee.
Mm-hmm.
We put another log on the fire.
Yep.
Which isn't doing that well, actually. And let's see what we're going to talk about next.
Yeah. So I was getting some questions from the audience as to meeting Donald Trump on the steps of the Parthenon.
Yeah, this is.
And people keep asking about it. It's kind of, it's not something I'm sort of going out to say, in a big way. It's just something that happened while I was in Boston, and then S Church CIA. They do have an S Church division. Arranged to meet me in Athens, and then I had a meeting with the daughter of a 2-star general, and she said, "Are you Kronos?" And Kronos is the right to rule the world, and it was being handed out to people at that time. And I didn't know how to reply, and I actually didn't say anything. I kind of didn't know what it was. I thought it was something to do with time, maybe the father of Zeus or something like that.
Yeah.
And that night, I went to the steps of the Parthenon, and you just stand out there. The Greek people just stand on the steps and get the breeze, look at people, talk if you want to, and look at the view.
Yeah.
And the steps are about 15 metres wide, and across from the other side of the steps appeared to be Donald Trump at that age, and he had two men in kind of American European suits standing either side of him. And he came over, standing about 2.5 steps above me, and he's about a bit taller than me. He's a big fella, he's like 6'3" or something.
Yeah.
And he's telling me what he's going to do. But he's like imbuing me with the information, right? He's talking to my chest, if you know what I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean? When someone's actually, the uncle's telling you this is how it is.
Yeah.
So he's doing that to me, and I'm sort of going like this, And then after that, S Church CIA took me to Patmos.
Where's
the
that?
next
That's
day.
a Greek island.
It's a Greek island it's off Turkey. It's about 60 miles south of Ephesus.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've
then
been
they
there.
took
I
me
know
to-
where that is, yeah.
Then they took me to Ephesus and to all the Christian sites around Turkey.
Yeah.
Including the Hagia Sophia. So in Patmos, they were saying, do you feel anything? Do you feel anything?
You mean, do you feel anything about the spirit, the atmosphere?
Yeah. Because I later found out, I didn't know at the time, that Revelation, which is the last chapter in the Bible, was purportedly written in Patmos. Right? And I said, look, I didn't feel anything. And from what I found out since is they were taking a few people to Patmos, S Church CIA, to see if they were the one who had either written Revelation or who Revelation was about, right? And I didn't feel anything. And it was only 25 years later that I actually found out where Revelation was written. And then that was 2013, 14. And then
it wasn't written in Greece?
No. It was written in the Algarve, which is also known as the Garden, and that's where the End Times Palace was as well, which is also called Carvalhal Palace, which is also called Stoi Palace. Mm-hmm. It's actually written Estoy, and I believe that Estoy is Spanish for I am that I am.
Yeah, Estoy.
Yeah, Estoy, I am.
Yeah.
So, the famous line in the Bible, the Shakespearean line, I am that I am, actually names Estoy Palace. And that was hugely connected to the end times.
Which you've mentioned that this is where we are.
Well, I ended up being chosen the next year to represent the end times, and then which lasts 40 days. And I've codified all the numbers on a chart, which I can give you. And then I was also chosen to represent the New Age, which is the highest honour. And I'd been running the Shin, or Forbidden Secret, since 1980, which kind of gave me control of the British royal family. So I could do things and that they would then react to it. And that led to the disastrous marriage of Charles and Diana.
I can't get my head round. It's very difficult to imagine such a huge responsibility, a huge task that you've got. You just come over okay, it's what I'm doing. You don't seem worried. You walk around, you're very jolly, happy. You've accepted it.
you know, people pump accolades on me, and I'm going, oh, that's great, you know, whatever. I'm doing it anyway. I feel like this, and then occasionally I go, am I really? You know, is it actually me? You know?
Yeah, I'm sure you must feel a bit of being humble about it as well.
Well, you know, I've had some big announcements while I've been working with this crew.
Yeah.
You know, just huge
Yeah.
announcements, and it's just level for me. There's no ego rise or anything.
Yeah.
It's just level because I've been put in the most humble situations for the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you know, blacklisted and stuff like that. So,
Well, you know,
I just don't have the kind of super ego that goes with it. It's just me. This is what I do, and I've been trained in how do I put it, symbols and royal marks, but not through any organisation like, you know, Freemasons, Illuminati, Rosicrucian, whatever the others are. I don't belong to any of them. I've never been to their temples. You know, all of my initiations have been natural.
Yeah.
So, you know, when people show me royal marks or religious marks, a lot of them I get straight away. I understand them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've ended up with some of the most powerful royal marks in the British Empire and in North America. And so one of my responsibilities is to join kingdoms, join nations, and join time.
See, this is something that comes up a lot. People are saying, you know, do we really need a new king? Because they associate the word king with power and dominance and control. And I've noticed with me getting questions like that. So it could be something worth explaining this, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people say, oh, do I have to give over all of my power to you now that you're king? It's just so wrong, you know?
Yeah.
For a start, they never had any power to give.
Can't give away something you don't have.
You know what I mean? And that's not what kingship's about. It's actually a service position. Like the word Lord actually means to do whatever is required in the moment.
Uh-huh.
That's what Lord means.
I didn't
and
know that.
if you go through the Bible for specific things, you know, it says in the beginning, in the beginning was the Logos. So that's in the beginning was the Word, which means in the beginning was the definitions of the word. So you got to define all the words.
Yeah.
And but Logos actually means saying. So in the beginning was the sayings, which is sayings of reality. And at the moment, we're living in a non-reality. And so we're moving from the previous age of Pisces into the new age of Aquarius. And we are creating our reality and demanding our reality, our new reality. So I'm getting all these love bombs. You know, it seems that the age of Aquarius is the age of just love bombs.
Like the song.
And so, yeah, absolutely. 70s song.
Great song, by the way. Isn't it? We should put it on.
We used to have parties at the house, and our music teacher at primary school used to come over and play it. And everyone would be standing around drinking, singing along. It's horrible.
You know what else? I mean, when you, after a full-on day of doing everything that's been going on now, and then you get up in the morning, I mean, is it not like you get out of bed and you say, oh God, here we go again? It must be exciting, though. Is it like every day there's something new? There's a little bit more, you're advancing, getting closer and closer and closer. That's what it seems to me the last couple of days.
Well, it's been great having a film crew around for that. I mean, you know, that's a huge affirmation.
Yeah.
Not only that, is, you know, we've been working intensely for about 4 days.
Yeah.
And no one's ever shouted bullshit, you know?
No.
You know what I mean? You're a big burly fella. The other guy's a big burly fella. You're big fighters and that. And
no,
he
is.
You kind of burly real men, you know.
Yeah.
And you just ask more, and they tell you more, and you get a bit more activated. You integrate a bit more. You go off and have a chat by yourselves.
Yeah.
No, this isn't bullshit. You know?
Well, you have this you blow people's minds with like the information that you're giving. See, what happens is you'll hit me with something, and then I'll go, okay, and I'm processing it, and then you've already advanced 5 or 6 points. I'm going, okay. So really, you need someone walking behind me with notes, but it's taken me a good couple of days to get it. I have to admit. So, but the amount of knowledge you've had, what do you do for fun? I mean, what do you do to relax? You can't surely be doing all of this 24, 7 days a week. You must do something to relax. You watch a bit of TV, for example?
I go for a guy and help walk his dog.
Yeah, you like that?
And just talk absolute
nonsense?
Total nonsense. The more nonsense we can come up with, you know, other people listening in go, what are these guys on? You know? Just absolute rubbish. And then I go and pat the horses, feed them a bit of grass. If the apples are in season, I'll get them some apples. And just walk around, do nothing. But
Because you
barefoot
must,
stuff.
you've got to have that escapism to take yourself out of it, you know.
Oh, I'm good at that. I can take you on an escapism tour if you like.
You know, I saw in amongst all of this, you had some books. How many books have you written?
15.
15. That's a lot. Over how many years?
20.
20 years.
Yeah. I wrote 4 books in 1 year. One of them was called How to Take Over the World, A Right Royal Con.
A right royal con?
Yeah, and I exposed how Queen Victoria's second husband, Prince Consort Albert, was actually the son of the stable boy Alex Hanstein, and he had no titles. He was just Albert of Saxony, and he wasn't Albert of Saxon-Coburg and Gotha. And he was chosen because he was identical to Queen Victoria's first husband, blind Prince George of Cumberland,
Yeah.
who was the second in line to the throne. Yeah.
All right,
So,
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
See, it's exactly what I'm talking about. He does that all the time to you. He puts this in your head, and then you're processing it, and he's already halfway down the road by then.
Yeah.
Have you been working on a book at the moment? Have you had time for that?
All of my books have been blacklisted. Really. Like if you write a raw book, all of the raw books are, how would you put it, commissioned PR pieces.
Yeah.
You know, except for maybe Morton's book on Diana, that was privately commissioned by Diana. So when you actually tell the truth of the British royal family for the last 200 years, it's a mafia gangster movie full of illegitimacy. They tried to steal our royal marks. Like Prince Philip sent an agent down, or actually he was around in Portugal, a guy called Joseph, and they sent him in to steal some royal marks. So we had the signet ring of the Holy Roman Emperor, and it was being cleaned.
Yeah.
You know, who's the King George V of Hanover, blind Prince George of Cumberland, Queen Victoria's first husband. And so the signet was actually off, and there was just the ring.
Yeah.
And Prince Philip's agent stole the ring, but not the actual seal.
Not the signet.
Not the seal,
The
but
significant part.
yeah. So we kept the signet. And
You never got it back?
Then this guy Joseph went and took this ring to Prince Philip, and then he got a job as a barman in the Navy for the rest of his life, and a flat place to live for just one little theft.
But you never got that back? The ring?
No. But we've got the signet. That's actually the cover of the book. So we've got the signet there, and we put some sellotape behind it, and then held it up to the sunlight, and then just angled it gently and took photos. So it turns from orange to tan to brown, dark brown to light yellow gold, and then we used it for all the covers.
Are you a good rider, horse rider? I forgot to ask you that a second ago.
I can stay on.
That's the idea, isn't it?
Yeah, I've actually got a double European champion to teach me horse riding.
But do you have any? Is that something that you have time for?
I hope so. Well, you know, if it works out, that'll be what I do in my time off. I mean, I'm so English because I love the dogs and horses.
Yeah.
You know?
Wandering around the countryside in a Land Rover and dogs and horses.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah.
Well, I think New Zealand has a similar climate, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's also got a culture of, you know, horses and dogs.
Yeah. And sheep, of course.
Yeah, all called Susan.
So, one of the other questions we had, Jamie, we had another one. I know what it was. Sorry, guys, I'm just talking to the crew. They're helping me. They've got the questions written down. Was about. It was about. Oh yeah, this.
I'll just butt in here.
Go on.
New Zealand is a personal union country with the United Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
That means that someone from New Zealand is allowed to become the king or the monarch of the United Kingdom.
It's a bit like you have to be born in the USA to be president, I suppose.
Not that they hold to that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say about personal sacrifices. We had an email from somebody in Canada who was saying Greg seems to have endured personal sacrifices in his personal life to achieve this mission.
Yeah, it's totally everything, just everything. So I had a reasonably successful architecture practice for 22 years. I was only ever allowed to work for 4.5 years of paid income. The rest of the time I was working the courts, which is the Queen and Prince Philip's courts, were actually employing people to employ me to not pay with license from the courts to be found not guilty of not paying. So it was actually, I was actually having to pay to go to work. It was costing me money rather than receive money. So they did, and they blew up my cars and stuff, and I had 18 assassination attempts, 12 in New Zealand. And I ended up taking the president of the Law Society in Auckland, New Zealand, to court, to the High Court, and exposing him as Prince Philip's agent, which he admitted to in the High Court.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So Prince Philip was actually employing heroin traffickers to distribute heroin to target the true royal families around the world. So
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
no, it's nasty stuff. The only reason they would do that is if the British royal family knew that they were flatline royal and illegitimate, and they were true royals from further back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense, isn't it? If you've got somebody else as a threat, you're going to take them out. But 18 assassination attempts, I mean, are you bulletproof or what? I mean...
Yes, I am.
Well, it's too long a story to get into all of those. I'm sure that there's many stories with you, Greg, that need time and devotion to get the whole story down.
Yeah.
You're a very, very complex character, but fun.
I actually think I'm a simpleton, because and because you live your life and share your stories, like you're sharing your stories, and we're all going, wow. I'm not going to mention my story after that. You're a hard act to follow. Yeah, you got some excellent stories, but mine are better.
It's all about learning from your experiences. What do you say to me? You said, fate is a series of stumbles. You've just got to have the strength to get up and continue.
Every time, and then that's your destination. Yeah, and the bigger the destination, the more the stumbles. So
I've got
I've
got about 20 really good quotes I'm going to use now when I go back in amongst my life. That one I like very much about fate.
Right, yeah.
If you don't mind me using it.
No, go ahead. Just don't quote me. I might have borrowed it.
On July the 9th, 2020, Joseph Gregory Hallett signed the final declaration to take control of the throne of the United Kingdom. Mr. John Smith, head of common law courts in England, and 23 independent witnesses signed this historic document. This now means that the Crown has 21 days to contest all of the points laid out in these legal documents. When I asked Greg if the royal family would contest this claim, he answered simply, "She can't, because I proved that she's on the throne illegitimately."
Unfortunately, we've come to the end of our first series of interviews, The Hidden King with Joseph Gregory Hallett. But the information that Greg retains about biblical prophecies, world historical events, and the real truth about the royal family needs to be documented. I hope that we've helped you connect in your own personal way with Greg during these interviews, and you feel what many people feel. He's a man on a very special journey, but we have so much more to learn from him.